Zelazny might have a run here. He pulls up. 2 laps to go at Auto Club Speedway. What a run this has been. 5 cars out front just dancing around for the lead. Salas back to the bottom. Honeycutt stuck up top. Slide job out of Salas. Crossover out of Honeycutt.
23 showing a big run here. He does.
You see Salas starting to cover it up. He goes up the racetrack. Honeycutt's clear of them both. He shoves it up in front of the 23, gets himself loose. It'll be white flag this time by. Salas down low. Zelazny looking for a hole. Side by side, 3 wide, Coffee in it. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go. Brought to you by Whiplash Sim Cams. Who is going to win the Luke's Playhouse 200? Honeycutt controlling the race. Coffee in second. Tires are aging. Zelazny off the top rope. Got a little bit free. He's going to crash with lights. And yes, wall there. Who knows? Honeycutt, though, leading the race. Can Coffee get a run? He's going to send it. He hits him. Big bump and run. Coffee's going to try and get away. Can Salas get there? Coffee's going to crash. Salas is going to crash. Watch Nick Lights here to the stripe. Salas is going to do it with no front bumper.
Unbelievable.
Wow. There's the white flag from Barney the Flagman. 1 lap to go at Long Beach. White flag is out. Brought to you by Whiplash Sim Cams.
Yeah, can really hold him off. He looked like he's started to gap Cantonio just ever so slightly. Got about half of a second. It's been hovering right around there. Oh, Cantonio really pushing. He's sideways out of turn number 1. But Rayleigh just keeping that car pointed in the right direction. Nice and smooth. Able to keep it going. It's going to be tough. Antonio knows that there's not very many chances, even if he can get close enough to him to make a move. So we'll see as they come through 6 and 7, head toward turn 8 onto the backstretch.
Deeper in the field, nothing changing. Lap traffic ahead. It's Kevin Peak and Bradley Alvis right in front of our race leaders down East Seaside Way. And to turn number 9 for the final time. Lap traffic in the way, and Rayleigh goes for it on Peak. He sends it into turn 9. He knows he can't wait. He knows he can't give an opportunity to Kevin Cantonio. Cantonio's going to take it anyway. Ships it into the hairpin, and Rayleigh's going to get away. Thomas Rayleigh is going to be a race winner in the North American Racing League. A last lap bump and run wasn't enough. This man wins at Long Beach.
Wow, what a finish coming through that hairpin. I thought they were all going to wad it up. We had lap traffic in there, staying in there.
After opening the 9th season of the North American Racing League GT3 series in Austria some 3 weeks ago, we stay in Europe this week and next for Pro and Am rounds at the ever-historic Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Every twist and turn of this venue has a story to tell, and tonight, some drivers have a chance to write their own chapters and add to the legacy, add to the stories here that Spa has to tell. Welcome to Pit Stop TV and the virtual Francorchamps in Belgium. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV with Zach Lindgren alongside, and it's a pleasure to join you for continuing coverage of North American Racing League GT3 Season 9. Tonight's coverage from Spa, is brought to you by Baradness, JS Consulting, and by Screw Compressor Service. And Zach, this place oozes history from every bit of curbing, every line on the racetrack, every piece of gravel in the sand traps. This place, it needs no introduction, really, and I'm sure most of us, at least that have done any time sim racing, know what this racetrack looks like. But for those of you that maybe don't, for those of you maybe that are hearing the name Spa for the first time and thinking we're talking about cucumbers and steam, this is a little bit different. This is a twisty, curvy, behemoth of a racetrack that just has so much history.
Well, you said it, Andrew. It just oozes history. It could stand against giants like Le Mans, the Nürburgring. This track has so much history, so many stories. So I'm really excited to see how this one plays out tonight. Like you said, very twisty, very curvy. From 1 all the way to 5, you're pretty much flat-footed all the way through, with El Rouge being right there at Radion 3 and 4, arguably the hardest part of the track just because you're going up a steep hill. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way through all of that. That's also very, very fast. This track is a very, very fast track. It is difficult to set yourself up just because everyone else is going to be running a very, very same pace, so it's going to be very, very difficult to set yourself up for a pass. So seeing passes get done here, it's like a win in and of itself, but only one winner will stand at the end of this, so I'm really excited to see how these guys tackle Spa tonight.
I'm excited to get this round underway. Of course, this is round number 2 for the pros, and next week will be round number 2 for the AM drivers. 20-minute heat, 40-minute race. It is the usual setup now for the North American Racing League, and I like this format. It was kind of pioneered in season number 8 at the back end, or I guess the middle, really, of 2025. Here we are now in 2026, carrying on with a brand new season of racing. Season 10, man, it's got to be coming soon. I will say, Scott Reister did let us in on a little secret that we're doing Porsche Cup after this, so gotta wait a little bit longer on GT3 Season 10, but it's gonna be right around the corner and it'll be here before you know it. But this is what we have for Season 9, a fantastic set of racetracks. Indianapolis up next after Spa for the pro drivers, then Mexico City and on down through the list. I'm excited to get on down through this season of racing. And we did, of course, have that opening round a couple of weeks ago, back in early January, and it did give us some point standings to look at. Zach, of course, take this all with a grain of salt. Those of you watching, it's so early, only one round in, but we can take a look at it with Dino Filippa on top after his win at Red Bull Ring. And this is more or less kind of a rehash of results, right? It's not much more than that right now. Give it a couple more rounds and we'll have a better idea of who is a favorite for the championship. Right now, we could say you're top 5, but anything can happen.
Oh yeah, absolutely anything can happen. So early in the season, sure, it's good to get out to that big jump, get out to that lead over your opponents maybe in the first five spots in the standings, but just because you're in that first 5 spots don't mean that you're guaranteed to remain in those 5 spots. You've got to be vigilant, you've got to be fast, especially with some of the tracks that we've got coming up, especially Spa, Indy, Mexico being the next 3, us obviously being at Spa tonight, so anything could happen. And as we take a look through some of the pro, and I'm excited to get to the Pro-Am because we were talking about it last week as well, that these guys, even though they are mixed into each other, each position counts worth of a point. We saw some of the pro standings where there was a big jump in some points, but we look at the Pro-Am here where really 1st through 12th is within 40 points. 1st through 14th, actually. 15th. 16th, I can't count, but all within 40 points of each other, and these guys are all mixed in together, so that's going to largely affect how the points are moving forward, especially some of the pro guys. Now that there's more pro-am than pro, there's going to be a lot more mixed in as the season goes on.
And again, take this all with a grain of salt. Give it a couple rounds. Honestly, I wouldn't even panic too much if your driver isn't up towards the top when we unload at Indianapolis in a couple of weeks. I would say maybe when we get to Mexico City, start paying a little more attention. But right now, this is really just kind of a recap of how round 1 went and what maybe we can expect here for round number 2. You've had some beautiful images across your screen of Spa that I recorded earlier today, but let's get into the session, and I want to bring everybody's attention to how the sim looks right now. There were no fancy editing tricks between the B-roll you just saw and what you're seeing on your screen now. It was just a screen capture of the sim earlier, and now this is a screen capture of the sim as we are in the session. And it's interesting, Zach, because we have some fog over the racetrack. It's morning, so the light is a little bit different, but I gotta get down to the weather conditions. Let's bring those up. Brought to you by MXWraps.com. There you see, we are at the bottom end of what you can do on iRacing, the very low end, and you know, the sim date is January 29th. Scott, keep doing this. I love this. I love when the sim date matches the real date, or at least is close. January 29th in sim, that's why it's cold. I like it.
Oh, absolutely, and it produces such good racing. But like you said, it's the same day as what we're living right now. So to see that in sim as well is actually a really cool feature, and I do also have to recommend that keeps going on, Scott. So it is really cool to see how everything turns out. But no, the cold ambient, well, as soon as we go over here, track jumps up almost 30 degrees. I don't know if that's going to remain accurate. It comes back down. So with track and ambient being right on top of each other with a really cold track, it's going to take a little while for these guys' tires to get up to temp, especially coming up El Rouge pretty much right off rip. So that's going to have to be something that we keep an eye on, just how quickly and how aggressive these guys are going to be able to take to the track and take to fighting each other right here.
And as cars hit the racetrack for our first real session of the night that will determine the rest of the evening, we can go ahead and turn the music down and turn the engines up. You can hear I'm starting to get up to speed around the racetrack. And this, of course, is qualifying, so we can go ahead and get the ticker on screen for you. Let me go ahead and hit the right one. There we go. And you can see everybody on the left side of your screen. And we have mentioned in the YouTube chat that Daniel Morad is in attendance, and it seems like he will be contesting this race here today. And that's always cool. Pro driver jumping in literally with the pros. But Daniel is, of course, a very well-known fixture in the sim racing scope, and we're very glad to have him not only a part of this series as a sponsor, but also on the racetrack here this evening. I'm trying to look for him in my timing screen. There he is. There's car number 70. He is heading out the pit lane right now. So he's just about to get there on the racetrack in car 70. Let's ride on board. Zach, this is up the hill, well, I guess down the hill, then up the hill at Eau Rouge and Radion.
See how Moradness kind of takes this on cold tires. He's probably not going to get too aggressive with it off rip, but that's pretty much the line that you want. Although he took it a little slow, you can see him weaving back and forth on track to warm up them tires as best as possible. Look how much wheel he's having to put into it and how little that car's moving. This is what these guys are going to have to deal with, especially in the heat race and in the feature race. When these tires are cold, you can put in a lot of wheel, the car will not take a lot of wheel. So this is what these guys are trying to warm up these tires for. That way these cars will take the wheel. So this is one thing that we're really going to have to watch, especially on this first lap, just to see how these times differ from the first 2-second laps for these guys.
And of course, we have a handful of pro drivers in attendance this evening. It seems we have about 12 of them out there tonight to contest this race here at Spa, and then the rest of the field being made up by Pro-Ams, of course. And here's a look at some of those pro drivers. In this case, Roman Pescucci out of Argentina behind the wheel of an Aston Martin this season. For Chile's Nicolas Rubilar, it is a Ford Mustang. On down to Dina Filippa, also in a an Aston Martin, and also out of Argentina, Victor Veloso. Good to see him back on the racetrack this evening. Didn't quite get to race last week, as I recall, but Victor is in a Mercedes this season out of Brazil. And for Slovakia, how about Daniel Pastor in the Ford Mustang with car number 95 on the side. Juan Blanat was fantastic. Oh my gosh, great driver. A lot of fun to watch out at Red Bull Ring in round 1. Out of Argentina in an Aston Martin. Marco Saavedra, same story there. Aston Martin, Argentina. Victor Miranda, though, out of Brazil, is in a Ford Mustang this season. Ralph Benitez in a Mercedes out of Brazil. Daniel Morad, we saw him, of course, out of the United States with a Mercedes. I guess probably Canada, actually, for Morad. Jackson Rosende out of Brazil with a Mercedes. And finally, Pedro Berger out there in an Aston Martin out of Brazil. Zach, that's just the Pro class. We still have all of Pro-Am to take a look at.
I mean, just the amount of cars that we've already seen. We're actually seeing a good amount Ferrari, Mustangs, and a lot of the cars that you're going to see are the Mustangs and the Astons, but we are going to see a lot more mixed in as far as the Pro-Am, with Ratu here in the Porsche, Mello here in the Ford Mustang, and I think the Ford Mustang is arguably just the best big chunky looking car. Aston Martin there, and now the Merc here for Bobby Flack. So I mean, just not random assortment, but just the overall pick in Pro-Am is all over the place, where it seems like it's either Aston or the Mustang in the pros. So it's really, really cool to see some of these guys, as Rubilar goes fastest as of right now. It's really cool to see these guys take a differing approach for all these different manufacturers, what they like and what they don't like. Reister here in the Merc, Brockway in the Mustang. So it's just really, really cool to see.
And some of those pro times are flowing in. Try to check out a little more of the Pro-Am field here with Francesco Antonicelli. How about Marcos Franco there in the McLaren? It is a very front-engine heavy field this season. Something about it, it seems like the meta will switch every once in a while. There's Paulo Goudai in a front-engine Aston Martin, Christopher Hill, a front-engine Aston Martin, Miguel Colon, a front-engine Ford, and Avery Hart, a mid-engined Porsche. That's pretty cool. A little bit of variety there from Avery Hart. Good to see a Porsche on track. But yeah, it's interesting. We talked about it a little bit at Red Bull Ring. The meta has switched. For a couple of years there, it was mid-engined, especially with the introduction of the Chevrolet Corvette. And I don't just mean on iRacing, but it seemed like, of course, with Corvette responding to other manufacturers and, well, going to a mid-engine platform, that was the way to go for a little bit. And now, at least here on iRacing, there is a big switch to front engine again. It seems like that is the faster platform right now. I would love to know more science behind it. All I can do is observe and notice that we were all McLarens in Season 8, and now we're all front engine cars, whether it's a Mercedes, a Ford, or an Aston Martin here in Season 9.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't really know the science behind it either, but obviously a lot of people are taking to it just because, well, like you said, it is the meta, so people are going to jump on it. But if they don't really like it, if they don't want to jump on it, they don't really have to take it. And, you know, you could still be fast with the mid-engine car, but obviously a lot of people are liking it. Pastor here is one of those that did like it. He had a rough race last week, got caught up in the same corner 2 or 3 times, looking to bounce back here at Spa. Like you were mentioning earlier, a lot can happen throughout the season. We're only the second race in. Well, I can't say second race in because we have yet to get that started, but still have a long way to go. But just still kind of backing off of what you said, Andrew, I think just with these cars now, with them having the cold tires, with them being a little bit more slippier but loose as fast, I don't know. I feel like the mid-engine car kind of caters to the front-engine car kind of caters to that a little bit. Lets the back end slide out. That way you can kind of control which way your car is going to go, which way your car is. I'm not saying that mid-engine is different in that aspect, but I feel like you can get a little bit more rotation out of the front engine on cold tires more so than the mid-engine. And that's just my personal opinion, personal preference, but and there's no science backing that, but I feel like that's might be what some of these guys are kind of catering to.
And of course, these drivers made their car choices at Red Bull Ring. They loaded into that session with whatever car they will be running for the rest of the season, at least if they want to continue earning points. Scott Racer did notify drivers and teams that they only get one car choice for the season. If they want to continue earning points, they will have to hold to that car choice. Victor Miranda is 3 laps into his qualifying session, but has not yet set a valid lap time. And this could be a big problem for a pro driver, former champion, I do believe. 44th right now on the grid. Daniel Morad also 43rd. Victor Veloso 41st. These guys need to get it together for their qualifying sessions. Morad, there we go. He gets it together. He's going to jump up to 12th. He's behind 4 Pro-Ams, but he's at least in the zip code now, whereas Miranda still needs to get a lap of record. I will say, regardless of what works to make lap time, the Mustang, I think we say it every time, Zach, the Mustang sounds so good.
Yeah, it really does. The Mustang sounds so good. But like you were saying, well, there it is right there. And that's kind of what I wanted to piggyback off of just a little bit. This track is so difficult. Once you go off just a little bit, you get an X. And for those that may not be familiar, anytime you go off track, anytime you have wheels jumped off, if you tap anybody, you receive an X, you receive an incident point. And in qualifying, if you receive anything, maybe it be a 0X, if you receive anything, your qualifying lap does not count. And like we saw there with Miranda, he went off just a little bit. That's more than likely enough where his time will not count. He will be starting towards the back. As some of these guys are winding down their qualifying efforts, Rosende here coming towards the line. Let's see if he puts down anything better right at the line. He will be a little bit better than his best, 10th quicker than it. So he will jump up just a little bit. But this track is very peculiar.
Paulo Goday just took over Pro-Am pole, 7th overall. Daniel Pastor, you saw the notification a few moments ago. He went fastest in qualifying, and he will take pole position here this evening. Paulo Goday on Pro-Am pole as qualifying comes to a close. So that was just qualifying. We've still got a whole race format to go through. Let's walk you through the Whiplash SimCam's race details here as we get ready for our first of 2 green flags on the night. If you're new to the North American Racing League, this is kind of just a sprint and feature race format. I mean, I guess contrived from what Formula One has done lately in a way, where, although this is for the full season, we have a 20-minute sprint race, so a little bit shorter. It is a sprint race. Then we're inverting 8, though. So that's a little bit different. We're inverting the top 8. Last season it was 15. This season down to just 8. Literally cut that in half. That will invert the top 8 for the lineup of the feature race of 40 minutes. They're scored on an average, I do believe. Scott Reister can absolutely jump in and correct me if I'm wrong. I believe they're scored on an average of the 2 finishing positions. I know they're at least paid that way, based on the average finish between the sprint and the feature race. And there are some hefty payouts for these races, so that is on these drivers' minds. It is a fixed setup race, 45% fuel, 15 incident limit, as we were talking about incidents just a moment ago, 15 incident limit in the race, then another penalty every 5 thereafter. So these guys need to watch it. And I joked with Chris Winstone in the AM broadcast a couple of weeks ago that this racetrack is going to be punishing. It always has been, Zach. Spa is a difficult place to get around and to mind your P's and Q's. But let's go through your ATVO starting grid, because on pole it is Daniel Pastor in car 95. Marcos Saavedra will start to his left side when they get the green flag. Dino Filippa, round 1 winner in position number 3. Nicholas Rubelar there in position number 4. Your top 5 completed by Juan Blanat, Roman Pascucci from 6th. From 7th, it is Pro-Am pole sitter Paulo Goday. From 8th, Nahuel Moron. And how about your top 10? Ralph Benitez and David Schwartz cap things off.
Right behind them, Eduardo Pecorini and Jackson Rosende will be starting behind them. Pro-Am and Pro, Blas Diaz and Daniel Murad will be starting 13th and 14th behind them. Francesco Antonicelli and Hector Alvarez will be behind them, both Pro-Am. And then a Pro row, Victor Veloso and Pedro Berger, 17th and 18th. Pro-Am with Fabio Zamperlini and Joaquin Mello, 19th and 20th.
Back in 21st, Scott Reister in the 42 alongside Sam Soyd. It'll be Scott Kimbrough and Chris Winstone in row 12. Back in row 13, Miguel Colon and Icaro Piccolo. How about row 14, Diego Eda out of Pro-Am alongside Adam Brockway. It'll be Bobby Flack and Romain Rateau in row 15.
To continue on, as Zach Plummer 31st, right next to him Edgar Ruiz in 32nd, Mike Braun, Lucas Souza 33rd and 34th. Behind them, Angel Ledesma and Nick DePaula will be starting 35th and 36th. Ricardo Delgado and Josue Ramirez 37th, 38th. Marcos Franco and Christopher Hill 39th and 40th.
And your final 4 cars on the grid, led by Andy Ray Miller in 41st, Jose Correa in 42nd, Avery Hart, the back end of the Pro-Am field in 43rd, Victor Miranda, a pro driver, will start caboose this evening, shotgun on the field from the 44th position. Thanks for joining us here this evening at Pit Stop TV. We certainly appreciate it as always. And we are about to kick things off. Green flag coming out of the bus stop here at Spa. Down the front straightaway and towards the source. Let's get the night going. Green flag at Spa. The re-wide, turn 1, La Source, it's crazy. My, oh my.
Oh, really iffy going into 1, but it looks like we're going to escape unscathed. They're really tight racing, and these guys already bumper to bumper, getting ready to go up the scariest part of the track on cold tires. El Rouge, let's see if we can make it through side by side. Big jet out front, but it looks like we're going to be able to make it through all single file. Little bit of loose now, 3 wide coming down the long straight.
Daniel Morad seems to be right with this. David Schwartz, Eduardo Pecorini, and so many more. 3 wide down the long Kemmel straightaway into Lacombe. This is going to be tricky. Morad up the inside of another M Squad car. He's now alongside the 55 of Blas Diaz. This is a crazy, crazy start without the hectic crashes we've seen in the past years. This is a good one here as for the lead. Daniel Pastor, Dino Filippa, and there is some chaos in the back, a little bit of damage back there. Oh my goodness, for the lead, look at this. Daniel Pastor.
Like their big slide, Pastor is going to be able to save it, but he's going to be losing a lot of positions here. It's all right, we still got a lot of racing to go, but we still stay clean. We've been relatively clean. There's probably been some beating and banging, but everything is stayed straight as of right now. These 2 up front.
So Pastor got usurped for the race lead at Bruxelles there, and then in Jackie X corner, you saw Rubilar, his teammate, go off the racetrack. That has handed the race over to Felipe and Saavedra. They now control this one as Joaquin Melo has got trouble in what seems to be car number 19 rather. He is off the racetrack in slow back here. Oh my gosh. That is not good. Scott Kimbrough in trouble as well. We'll take a look back at that after lap 1 is complete. For now, here we go through the bottom end of the circuit towards Blanchimont and the bus stop. Everybody mostly single file, but what a chaotic first lap.
Very chaotic first lap. As we get up into the chicane, this could also lead to a lot of chaos right here. A lot of dive bombs usually right here, especially going side by side right there through the middle of the pack. We see here Felipe and Saavedra are going to be able to scamper off a little bit. Them 2 teammates with Pastor right behind them. Blainat teammates with Felipe and Saavedra, but these guys all right on top of each other. We see right here in the middle of the group, they're still right on top of each other side by side.
In the pit lane, Rubilar serving a penalty. He is straight back into the pits. The driver out of Chile, trouble here on lap number 2 for him. And it looks like, oh, Icaro. I'm still working on names here. Icaro Piccolo. Say that 5 times fast. He's turned around now in the pit lane. Our leaders continue on. Here's a look at the top few. Dino Filippa and teammate Marco Saavedra drafting into Lacombe. I think we've got a moment here, Zach, where we can take a look back at what happened on lap 1. Let's go ahead and do that because there was a lot going on. Once we got around, like I said, a Jackie X corner, things really picked up.
A lot really did pick up. We expecting a little bit, maybe expecting
Check this out.
a lot of carnage, but
for the race lead,
take a look here.
This is Pastor ahead. Oh, that is a straight up dive bomb. That might pull Filippa back. I mean, that was just... Let's get another look before I say too much, but... You can see Rubilar go off the racetrack on exit. Let's get another look at it before I say too much here. That's just a point and send.
Yeah. That's a very, very late point and send. I feel like they're already getting into the corner. You see the teammate, or I believe that was Rubelar, the teammate of Pastor. Man, there's just so much going on right here.
So here's Felipa on board. Just hold your breath. Lap 1. I hope stewards take a long look at that. That doesn't feel quite right to me. I'm curious what the YouTube chat thinks of that, but that just doesn't feel like a savory move to me. I mean, you know, a NASCAR bump and run would have been one thing even, but that was he just shoved him off the racing line anyways. Then you see Rubelar trying to regather things. He ends up going off the racetrack after minor incidental contact at that point. He kind of made a body on through in Bruxelles as well, but he ends up kind of serving the penalty for it anyways, naturally. But that will definitely need a look, I think, by stewards. And there was some more stuff going on towards the back end of the lap. Scott Kimber, I know he was in trouble. Here's a look at it for him. Car 17. Oh, wow. Somebody hit the wall really hard there in Puan. Here's Kimbrough, though.
Oh.
Just ran out of space.
Yeah, and then being right in the middle of the track collects a couple more. I mean, there's nothing he could have done at that point. Hold brakes. I mean, yeah, just the slow, lazy spin right in the middle of the track. There's nothing you can do. You could slam on brakes. You can get on gas. You're just along for the ride at that point. Catches a couple more drivers right here in the middle of it as well.
Not sure who it was that absolutely slammed into the wall in Puan. I'm trying to find that. Oh my gosh, that was a massive hit. Was that Winstone? It was. That was Chris Winstone.
He's had a terrible start to the season. We documented his end of the year last year. Winstone, maybe a little
contact
tap
with
right
Brockway.
here. He gets loose, way out wide. Continue. Oh, man.
Some really large hits here early in this race, and there's been a little more chaos happening while we've been in replay, but this is the most of it for sure, the best of it anyways, or worst, however you want to look at it. As these guys are nearly halfway through already this heat race. So let's get back up to the front of the field. Felipa has not lost the lead. I wonder about that, Zach. I wonder about that.
Hey, you know, if I think both you and I can agree that that was a late move and that the stewards have deemed it acceptable if they haven't made any kind of action already. But that, I mean, that is something to keep in mind for the future, because if these guys are around each other, and remember, there is an eight driver flip at the end of this, which at the moment would put Felipa behind Pastor and everybody that affected. So I'm just saying, you know, if the admins aren't going to work it out, if the admins deem that necessary or okay, then if it's boys have at it, then it might be boys have at it. I'm not going to step too far into it. I think we both kind of seen and voiced our opinions. At the moment, though, Felipa and Saavedra have walked away from Pastor. These guys are right on top of each other. Saavedra not let his teammate get away from this top position. These guys, we saw this also last week, these two right on top of each other. So, I mean, they're on a roll right now, really helping each other out as we come back here to further in the back in the pack. These guys still grouped right on top of each other.
Look at Morad here. He is top 10 in class, but he is 12th on the racetrack, and he's got a side-by-side between a Pro and a Pro-Am right ahead. So Morad looking ahead out of Canada at Blanat and Schwartz. This is down to Puan. Blanat has the position. Schwartz is trying to keep up with him. And he's got Victor Veloso just behind, Morad does. So 3 pros, a Pro-Am driver mixed in. This is some busy racing right here in the middle of the field.
And this
Morad is getting pressured.
And this is what I mean by how fast this track is. You've got to take advantage of every little moment that you can, just because everyone else is carrying the exact same speed almost. So we got a car backed up again. Diego Eric, oh, still trying to get out. Put it in reverse, buddy. Put it in reverse.
Oh, he just got hit.
Oh.
Big time. Just got hit really hard by Marcos Franco, a teammate no less. Oh my goodness. Want to catch back up to this battle with Morad and Veloso. This is up to the bus stop. On board now with Victor Veloso out of Brazil. What a great race car driver name, by the way. Victor Veloso. It just sounds like velocity. I wonder if the word has the same root there, but that is a fun name to say.
I do kind of like that. Veloso. Velocity Veloso. Hey, nickname. Hold on now. Hold on, we're cooking. But anyway, still on the back end of Murad. It's like I was saying earlier, you can't really let anything go to waste at this track. Any kind of momentum you give up is going to be time for others around you, more specifically behind you. So these guys right on top of each other, I think they know that as well. That's why we've seen such aggressive driving off rip, off the start of this race as we come back up here to the top. Felipa and Saavedra still right on top of each other, not letting each other get away. Oh, big wiggle there from Felipa. Saavedra still right behind him, not making any move. Pastor and Pascucci not really gaining any time on them as well. These guys have been like this for the last few minutes, but I think Pascucci kind of in the worst spot possible just because Pastor, him and his teammate kind of got handed that dual hand from Felipa and Saavedra. So with maybe a bit of beef teammates brewing right here, I think Pascucci might be in the worst spot. But either way, I digress. So these guys still right on top of each other. They're playing nice as of right now, and I hope to see that as the race goes forward and we get closer towards the end of this race now, halfway or more than halfway through it.
I would definitely think Pastor is going to be a little more aggressive on the defense over Pascucci, just considering how lap 1 went. And that is a teammate car behind him to the cars ahead. So I would think Pastor will be a little more aggressive on defense and try to hold Roman Pascucci behind as long as he can. Obviously at Spa, there are actually some passing zones. And we go to a lot of circuits on iRacing that sometimes just are not good for passing. Spa is one that is pretty good for passing. Yes, there are moments where you need to stay single file. This might be one of them. That was close. But there are definitely passing opportunities at this racetrack. La Source is one, if you can make it happen, but then you set up for a pass into Lacombe if someone sets up just right on the Kemmel Straight. So definitely a lot to consider for these drivers, a lot going through their minds at any given time, and this is just at the top end of the spectrum. Noel Marone is leading, by the way, in Pro-Am, as you might have seen on your ticker on the left side of the screen. He has gotten that spot away from Paulo Godai by some margin as well, 1.4, 1.5 seconds back to Paulo Godai, so it's looking pretty good for Noel right now. Good start to the race, that's all we can say.
Great start to the race. If he's able to jump over Paulo Godai, we had mentioned Paulo a couple of times last season. I believe he was, correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew, but he was the champion. Yeah, he's the defending champion, and now with a bunch of pros coming in and the new average I rating, it has bumped him down into Pro-Am. So this is a great look for Moron right now as he is able to jump in front of Paulo Godai. Maybe Paulo had a little bit of a mix-up, put him behind just a little bit, but he's stuck in between two pro drivers right here behind Moron. So, you know, this is a great look for Moron right now as he's able to still gap Paulo just a little bit. Diaz right behind Paulo as well. So there's still a lot to unfold right here as we get to 5 minutes, almost 5 minutes left remaining in this race. But this is a really, really good look right now for both Moron and Paulo Godai after Godai had a very, very lackluster start last week to the season.
And bear with us here. There are 39 cars still driving, and there are battles all over the timing and scoring screen. I'm going to try and go through as many of them as we can really quick before we settle in to cover the end of this race. So we've seen kind of the top 10 pretty well. Let's go back to the back end of the field here with a string of race cars battling from about 26th through 30th position or so. This is, let's see, 26th would be Jose Correa in the 025. There he is in that Lamborghini. Andy Ray Miller is just behind in the 27th spot. He is in a Ford Mustang this season. There's Andy. Mike Braun is just behind in 28th. And of course, these guys are 15th, 16th, 17th, that range in class. Ledesma and Hart are battling, though, right behind these guys. They just swapped positions. Ledesma goes ahead of Avery Hart. And remember, Zach, this might be worth noting for Driver of the Day later. Hart started 43rd of 44 cars.
Currently up to 30th. That's still a very, very good jump, especially at this track. It's like we were saying, there are passing zones, but it's very, very difficult. You've got to be on point to set up those zones. If you're not in position, then those zones will be null and void. So to move up 13 positions, dead last all the way up to 30th, high of 28th. So lost a couple right here, but still in contention for those positions. That's very, very impressive. So like you said, Driver of the Day contention already. Avery Hart, probably a name to keep an eye on as we progress further into the night.
Moving forward a little bit, there's a battle here between Miguel Colon and Samsoid for 20th overall, 10th in Pro-Am. Samsoid is in the 21st spot, has just lost his position, it looks like, to Miguel Colon. Yeah, you can see at the start-finish line, Colon was signed as the 21st car, and Samsoid is 20th. That is now changed, as, well, you can see Colon is ahead of Samsoid. So a position change between those two since the start-finish line. Colon moving forward. He now will look forward to Eduardo Pecorini, Scott Reister, and Fabio Zamperlini. Here they are as they work through Stavolo on the bottom end of the circuit. Not much changing at the front end of the field, by the way, so it gives us this opportunity to look through the field just a little bit. Again, 40 some odd cars all driving at the same time, battles all over. We can only cover so much at once, but I wanted to make sure we got a rotation in here during this sprint race and at least looked around a little bit as we gear up for the end of this one between the pros. Reister has a run here, Zach, on Zamperlini. Here we go.
Oh, through the kink. That's a very, very hard place to make the pass. Zamperlini making a defensive line. Reister gonna try to make it work. Overshot it just a little bit. Going to likely lose the position. No, he's gonna be battling for it with, I believe that's Pecorini to his outside. Pecorini now trying to take that position away from Reister. That's what I mean when it comes to setting up a pass. You've got to be precise, because if not, it could really, really harm you in the long run. Reister's paying that price right now. Pecorini's going to be able to shut him off after one. Pecorini now takes that position away from Reister.
So pass made now by Pecorini over Reister. That is good for 18th on the racetrack, 8th in class. Remember, though, they earn points as a collective across the entire field. So everybody is scored all together, and they've got to break them down into different classes after the fact. Nicholas Rubelar just went fastest. You see that at the top of your screen. Nicholas is back here in 32nd spot. He is down on Lasource, now working up towards Eau Rouge. The leaders are around Bruxelles and Jackie X corner. So definitely way behind the leaders, but on the lead lap, even after that penalty we saw earlier. And that lap, I think, that he just set might have even been without draft. So clearly he's fast. This might be a driver to watch in the feature race here in about 3, I guess, with the warm-up session, about 8 more minutes.
Well, speaking of 8 more minutes, we got what? We've got just a little over 2 minutes left in this heat session. We had mentioned it before, but I think it's even more important now to mention that once this session ends, there will be an invert of the top 8. And right now, sitting in 8th is Paulo Gaday behind his Pro-Am counterpart, Nahul Moran, but also with Ralph Benitez and everyone right in front of him. That's going to put some of these Pro-Am guys in the front of this pro field. So even if Paulo does not take the win right here in the heat, he does have the advantage if he's able to hold on to this position, because he will be starting front row pole position for the invert as we get under 2 minutes. So that's where this race becomes so important. Sure, you want to win as we get this Whiplash SimCam's white flag coming up onto screen and for the final lap this time. Even though you want to win, you want to take that heat win, see what your car can do, that invert's just as important to position yourself for the long future ahead.
And this is an important spot for Paulo to hold on to. It's his teammate right behind him, Blas Diaz. So I do wonder if they'll play some team orders and allow Paulo to hold on to that spot. But, I don't know, Paulo might still want to go for that position ahead If he can get Marone off guard at some point, that I think is still a worthy pass to try and make before the end of this lap. Ahead, we've got a little battle between our teammates at the race lead. Felipe and Saavedra going after it. Marco Saavedra now has a chance here, and Bruxelles, the block there from Felipe, down to Bruxelles. Here we go.
A block from teammates. These guys are more than likely in voice chat, so either voice chat's very quiet right now or very active. Felipe will be able to defend Saavedra for the time being, but Felipe goes a little wide coming down into this double right-hander, this downhill double right-hander. You've got to hit perfectly. The car gets very, very light right here. These guys look like they're able to handle it. Felipe still able to hold that above Saavedra, but still this lap isn't over just yet. Saavedra closing in ever so slightly. Maybe got into that corner a little bit too lax. Nope, he's able to gain just a little bit. Felipe and Saavedra still going at it.
And there's still a decent battle for the Pro-Am win. We'll keep an eye on it as Saavedra tries to put chase to Dino Felipe for the Pro win here in this heat race. Sprint race, whatever you want to call it. Pascucci, by the way, has gotten by Pastor, but that may change in these last couple of corners. Felipe has enough of a lead, I think, to hold it over his teammate Marco Saavedra into the bus stop for the final time in our sprint race here at Spa. It will be a 1-2-3, it looks like, for SDR. Dino Felipe, Marco Saavedra, Roman Pascucci to the line. They will all take the top 3 spots. Now it's a race back to the flag for Nala Marone and Paulo Godai. Where are they at? They will come across the stripe. Marone ahead, Godai just behind. Godai will get the invert here in a moment, but it will be Marone with the win in the interim.
We got some more finishing up the race right here. These guys will not be a part of that top 8 invert, but these are still for valuable points. We see a side-by-side right here. That's Avery Hart that looks like might have picked up a position right there at the end of this race. So every position is another point. That's a lot that could go towards the end of the season. Again, we're still pretty early, but a lot counts right here. So these guys trying to take every position that they can. It looks like the last few are going to be finishing up. Nope, we still got some cars out on track back here with Lucas Souza coming through the final parts of the track.
This is still back in Puan, now down towards Staffalo. I mean, these guys are still way back there. So it's going to eat up a little bit of time here for these guys to get back around to the stripe. And of course, with iRacing heat race sessions, it makes it difficult to actually go through results. I suppose we can go through them as they run. Just be aware these might change slightly. Let's go ahead and take a look at least as Dino Felipe will win the sprint race here this evening. 9 laps led. Saavedra, Pascucci, Pastor, and Resende, your top 5. Benitez there in 6th. Then Marone and Godai, your top 2 Pro-Ams. They will invert to the front of the field with Godai getting the pole. Blas Diaz in 9th. Juan Blena in 10th. A little deeper, you see a little more blue here. David Schwartz, Daniel Morad there 11th and 12th. Morad's driver beats him at the Pro-Am, gets ahead of the Pro. Victor Veloso there in 13th. Antonicelli 14th. Pedro Berger 15th. And that is your top 20. Still a few cars finishing up, so we can go a little bit deeper here. Again, these might change slightly. It's just the nature of heat races here on iRacing. That's through your top 30, and here's your top 40 through your 44-car field. And that is it. It's all going to reset on us. And, of course, we move on into this warm-up session. We actually have a little bit to talk about here, Zach. We got a lot coming up here at Pit Stop TV, and I want to make sure everybody knows all about it because, of course, we have more than just the North American Racing League. We can take a look across the board at what is upcoming for the channel. Next up, actually, right after this broadcast concludes, we are rolling straight into coverage of the Sim Auto Racing Association Pierce Fleet Service Super Series. These are super late models. It's a variation of stock car. Super late models on an unnamed short track. It's a mystery round for those drivers. They don't know where they're going yet. Their session opens in under an hour. They don't know where they're racing. I do. I'm not going to tell anybody, but I know where they're racing. It's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see where these guys are headed here just a short little while after this broadcast wraps up here at Spa. And then Sunday, we have the All-American Racing League kicking off their 36-race season. We will have partial coverage of their season, beginning with this week's race at Daytona. That'll be at 9:45 a.m. Eastern, Zach, not p.m., 9:45 a.m., an early Sunday morning broadcast there from Daytona, and then on through a new week of racing, beginning with the BRB Sundance Pro Series kicking off their chase format for their championship at Michigan International Speedway. Of course, then next Thursday, we have the North American Racing League AM drivers coming right back here to Spa, and that will pair up with the Sarah Super Series racing at New Smyrna later that evening. So a lot on the board. As January wraps up and February begins, we are very busy in these parts and excited to continue on in 2026, and there's plenty of places you can catch all these broadcasts across the board.
Yeah, you can catch us at pitstoptv.com, where we regularly update what's going on. You can catch us on facebook.com as well, /PitStopTV, or how about Instagram /pit_stop_TV. You can catch some of the highlights of what we got going on, some of the leagues that we feature here on Pit Stop TV on TikTok with Pit Stop TV 1. You can also catch us on Twitch or right here on YouTube with Pit Stop TV. You can also catch us on X for any kind of update, any kind of broadcast update, or anything else you might need. To catch us on X or Twitter with /PitStopTV_.
Plenty of places to follow the action along and keep up with everything Pit Stop TV has to offer. We still have a little bit more time here in warm-up. A few drivers, two to be exact, are on the racetrack currently. One of those being Joaquin Melo. But let's talk about the partners here of this series and give them a big shout out and a thank you here this evening. Of course, Moradness, JS Consulting, Screw Compressor Service, and Rocket Designs, all helping this league take off each and every season. And this is one of the biggest yet. This might even be the largest. I wonder if Scott has the numbers on iRating, on number of drivers signed up. I mean, this is definitely rivaling the largest of seasons for this series, and I'm so glad to be a part of it. I really am. I am honored. I am privileged to be here with the North American Racing League. Admittedly, I've got a lot on my plate these days, so to still be able to fire up the sim here on a Thursday evening and bring you guys these broadcasts is a pleasure and an honor. So Scott Reister, I thank you for that. And of course, all these partners on the left side of your screen as well: Moradness, JS Consulting, Screw Compressor Service, and Rocket Designs. A big thank you to our partners here at the sim at the channel as well: Whiplash Simcams, MX Wraps, ATVO, Murtis Esports, CC's Business, and the North American Racing League. You know, Zach, I thought for a moment we could have had a Murtis Mega Miss there in that heat race, that sprint race, but then Diego Era got hit by his own teammate over there in I think that was turn 13 or so. We'll be watching out for some mega misses here in the feature event, but I thought we had one. It just ended up going awry there for Diego as we take a look here at the Whiplash Simcams race details.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a close, and the only thing that hurts about that too was I believe they were the last few cars to be coming around the corner, just barely clipped them. But yeah, let's take a look at the details. We just had the 20-minute sprint. Now we're getting ready to have the 40-minute feature. The 40-minute feature will feature, see what I did there? It will feature some pits for these guys. These guys will not be able to make it the full 40 minutes because there is a 40% fuel tank that these guys, that's a 40% max that these guys could have. The top 8 will be inverted for this 40-minute feature with a 15x limit, then 5x's, then 5x after that will get you a penalty. The 15x limit, we saw it reached last week, Andrew, at the Red Bull Ring, and I feel like it's very, very possible to be reached at this one too. These guys have got to be on point with their car positioning, throttle positioning, everything that they need to have to make this car go around, but keep it on track. That's something that we're going to have to keep our eye on as well as we get ready to come into the feature.
Definitely a lot to watch for in this 40-minute feature coming up, about 18 laps or so ahead of these drivers in the meat and potatoes portion of the evening. Let's take a look at your ATVO starting grid, of course, beginning off with, as previously mentioned, Paulo Godoy defending champion of what is now the Pro-Am division, will lead us to the green here in the 40-minute feature portion of tonight's event. Noel Marone from second place over his left shoulder. Starting from third, Ralph Benitez in car 43 alongside Jack Sunday. They are each pros. A bunch more pros here. How about Daniel Pastore in fifth, Roman Pascucci in sixth, Marco Saavedra in seventh, and Dino Filippa in eighth. That's a straight-up invert of your top eight from the heat race. And Blas Diaz from ninth place, Juan Buena from 10th.
Starting right behind them, David Schwartz started 10th last in the sprint, is going to be starting 11th on grid. Didn't really go forward, but he also didn't go back. Murad, who's going to be joining him on that row, 11th and 12th. Victor Veloso and Francesco Antonincelli will be starting 13th and 14th. 15th and 16th is going to go to Pedro Berger and Adam Brockway. Brockway up almost 12 positions from that heat, so great heat for him. Look out for him going forward. Eduardo Pecorini, Scott Reister 17th, 18th, and behind them Miguel Colon and Fabio Zamperlini will be rounding out your top 20.
Back in row number 11, it's Sam Sood in the number 7 alongside Victor Miranda. From the very back of the grid, he's up halfway. Can he get the other half here in this feature from 44th to 22nd? That's impressive so far for Miranda. How about 23rd for Hector Alvarez, 24th for Josue Ramirez. Back in the 25th spot, it's Edgar Ruiz ahead of Jose Correa, then Andy Ray Miller, Mike Braun, Avery Hart, and Angel Ledesma, your top 30.
Right behind them, Nicholas Rubillard, not the start that he wanted. Obviously, we documented what happened to him from 4th back to 31st. He was still able to pick up some positions. Next to him, Ricardo Delgado will be starting 32nd. Behind him, Chris Winstone and Icaro Piccolo will be 33rd and 34th. 35th, 36th will go to Zach Plummer and Lucas Souza. 37th, 38th, how about Diego Era and Bobby Flack? And then right behind them, 39th, 40th will be Romain Rateau and Marcos Franco. To finish out the rest of the field, Christopher Hill 41st, Joaquin Mello 42nd, Scott Kimbrough 43rd, and rounding out our field is going to be Nick DePaula as we get ready to get going here.
Feature racing time, 40 minutes on the clock, about 18 laps here at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Green flag down to La Source now in the feature event for the North American Racing League at Spa. And a whole shot start for Nala Moron on the outside, but he's quickly moved offline. He falls back to second behind Godai, and it's now a race down then up as they approach Eau Rouge and Radion.
These guys look like they might be going 2x2 right here. Yep, we saw a little bit of heated debate between these guys. They're right back on top of each other again. Paulo's going to hold off Moran coming through El Rouge, but Moran's going to have a big run. These guys are still going to be on cold tires, though, so they got to be wary and cognizant of that. Look at them starting to fan out, trying to gain any kind of position coming down the long straight. Paulo's going to be able to hold on. Moran's got to check up just a little bit, puts him under fire from third. These guys are still right on top of each other.
Perhaps some damage to a Mustang in the top 10. That's going to be big. That's going to be very, very large.
Oh, no.
All the brakes.
Oh, no.
Pastor back across the racetrack. He gets out of harm's way. The 23 is Roman Pascucci. They each make contact out of Lacombe, and boy, that could have been so much worse. Props to them and everybody else for making that small.
Yeah, that could, like you said, that could have been so much worse if somebody would have just had a little bit of days and a little bit of mind phase right there and just let the brakes go. That would have been so bad, but those guys had the cognizance to hold brake, let the field get by, and get the race back going again. Look at this field, how packed together it is. From first, arguably, all the way back to, what was that, 25th, 30th even? These guys are right on top of each other. We come back up here to the front. Paulo Gadai right in front of Moron. Moron's not letting him get away just yet. These guys already using that little bit of dirt. That's one of the sections on the track that if you go just a little bit too far out, you can gain a 1X, and that could really, really hurt you down the road if there's only 15 incidents before you get yourself a penalty. So these guys got to be wary of that already.
Lap 1 just about over. Paulo Godai is still leading. Ralph Benitez ahead in pro. Jackson Rosende just behind. They are teammates. And we'll get a look back at everything that just happened for lap number 1 in about 2 moments. Let them cycle through the speed shot. A couple of cars out wide at the bus stop, but, well, a couple of cars stopped, actually. Piccolo and Flack will tow back to the pit lane. We have got some stuff to go through here. Let's go back and look through lap 1. There is going to be a hefty bit to look at.
Let's take a look back. Obviously, we saw this contact. Zende, just a little bit too far out. Gets tapped on the left side there. Pescucci maybe didn't get off track, buddy. I mean, we saw this live. It's still really hard to look at, really hard to watch. Pescucci just maybe wasn't thinking of that checkup right there. Gets into the left rear. It's just terrible, terrible timing. And NARL stewards have deemed Pescucci at fault for that. He was black flagged, so he's either serving or gonna have to serve for that incident. So we take a look back up here from the restart.
Yeah, this is all the way back to the start. So you can see everything that happened back at La Source. 3 wide land rush right to the apex. I really thought Marone had more there off the start. I mean, he got the whole shot off the line, down to turn 1. I thought he had Godai, but ended up falling back as they work up over Radion there, and this was the run down Kemmel Straight. And you'll see that Pastor incident one more time. And then we'll carry on with the rest of the field as there was some more happenings at the back end towards Blanchimont and the bus stop. Marone, that really did him in for lap 1. Because he even through Lacombe and down towards Bruxelles and stuff, you know, Marone could have had something, but there's that hit for Pastor and Pescucci. They did a decent job of staying out of the way as everybody filed on through. Again, that could have been much larger.
Yeah, that could have been so much larger, but like you said, just to have that mind to hit brakes, not allow anyone else to get in contact, to have your race still have a chance to carry on instead of having a dead car to tow back to pit road. You may have damage on the front end, but your car's still moving, so that's a chance for points in position. As we look through what happened through the rest of the field right here, Paolo, everybody lines out. You see a big dive there. I believe that might have been from Murad. I'm not for sure. That might have been, but either way, big dive there. These guys 2x2 coming through the bottom end of the track of around 13 to 14, 15. We saw a car right there without the nose. I couldn't make it out who that might have been. That was Berger. Okay, yeah, Berger without the nose. You see him coming through right there again. Not really seeing much of what's going on right here, though.
Well, I know Brockway had trouble here at the back end of the lap, and that's what I'm trying to get to. And this seems like it might have been with Pedro Berger in that 117. Here they go towards the bus stop, and oh man, Brockway got shoved off the racetrack there at Blanchimont. That is scary stuff. And then he dives here at the bus stop, trying to get in position back. And right here, well, he continues on. So I think maybe it was David. Somebody spun around at the back of the lap. There we go, Bobby Flack.
There it is.
Yeah, there's some action.
Oh, we still got the action. Even with a lot going on, these guys were still right on top of each other. Immediate tow for, I'm sorry, I forget who that might have been, but I mean, just a lot happening right there at the end of that lap.
That was a run back through lap number 1. Not much has changed. Everybody's settling in. Remember, this is a 40-minute race. They've got enough fuel to go about 25 minutes, and then they've got to pit. And typically they do run 25 and then 15. They typically wait later to pit, but we might see some drivers pit earlier if they're trying to nurse some damage, or maybe if they have some alternate strategy in mind. As here we go, battle here with Benitez on Marone. This is up towards the bus stop now. Gonna get a little sketchy. Benitez on the left side. He's gonna have the second apex to his advantage, but Marone able to cover it for now, then loses advantage there on the exit. This is good stuff.
And this is what Paulo Godai wants to see right here. Marone under fire from Benitez. Benitez also under fire as well from Saavedra, and Resende right behind him. Resende being his teammate, but Felipa being the teammate of Saavedra. These guys right on top of each other. Benitez going to look to the left side coming up El Rouge. This is a very, very sketchy way. to look through it. They get back lined out. He's going to come up. El Rouge is going to have a little bit of a run here. Moron might have to play a little defensive. You see him all the way to the right, not allowing Benitez to have any kind of track. You can see Benitez there get right on his quarter paddle, not allowing Moron to have any kind of track side by side.
And Benitez makes that pass into Lacombe. Saavedra follows around the outside. What a power move out of that Aston Martin. It'll be now Moron back to 4th place. Jackson Resende 5th. Moron defending here into Bruxelles, down the hill into this carousel corner. Out wide a little bit is the 28. That'll actually help him defend to a Jack Yix, so he stays alive here in the top 5 for just a little bit longer. But he is starting to lose touch with Paulo Goday, and this is starting to show Paulo might really be made of something this season. We know, of course, he's defending champion, but that was when the pro category was just Division 1, and they weren't necessarily pros. Division 1 from last season has become Pro-Am this season. We have 10K, 11K I-rating drivers now in this pro class, and Goday is a Pro-Am. He is punching above his weight class right now, holding on to this lead. I know he's had some help from Moron kind of holding these guys off a little bit, but he's still doing a really fantastic job. But even at the back end of this lap so far has even gained some time on Benitez and company.
Well, and I wanted to make that point as well, Andrew. You bring up a really, really good point that just because these guys are separated by I-rating, just from I-rating averages and how everything lined out, doesn't mean that their talent factor is down the drain or, you know, less than or equal to anybody else. You could have a good day. The pros could have a bad day. Just because you have that title doesn't mean that you're guaranteed a position. You're guaranteed a win. And Paulo Goday is making that case very, very forcefully known. And as far as I know, if everything holds as far as Paulo Goday being out in front of these guys, in front of Benitez and Saavedra, we could see our very first Pro-Am overall finish in front of everybody. And I feel like that's very, very possible with Paulo Goday up front. He's still gaining time a little bit on these guys. So, I mean, this just goes to show, just because you have numbers and just maybe a title with those numbers doesn't mean that you're defined by those numbers. Paulo Goday making a very, very strong case that he's just as good as some of these guys with higher I rating. As we see right here, Saavedra going to look to the inside of Benitez, and it looked like Benitez is going to give it up. Saavedra now up to 2nd.
Marcos Saavedra on through. Noel Moron follows back, well, stays in 4th. Dino Filippa, by the way, I still wonder, it sounds like whoa, Resende went way off the course there, and he's got no front bumper. I wonder when that happened. I don't recall that being the case even moments ago, so we'll get a replay here, but I still wonder if Filippa is going to get called back at all. I don't know. That still irks me a little bit from the heat race, and nothing but respect for Dino, but I'm going to be honest, I feel he made a mistake, got into another driver, forced him off the racing line there on that opening lap, and I feel that should have been a penalty. That's just my opinion. Everybody has their own, and that's okay. But it's going to be hard for me to shake that out of my mind, Zach, as there you see what happened to Resende in Lacombe, knocking the front bumper off. I think the splitter went with it, and he just lost all front downforce.
Yeah, you saw it right there. He tried to get into that right-hander, and the car just went straight, no turn. Now you see it right here. Now that he's lost draft to Dino Filippa and everybody else that was around them, that car is going to be like a parachute. You see right here, I believe that's Blas Diaz right behind him, pretty much bump drafting him, trying to get through the kink. He's going to defend it just a little bit. Blas is going to give him a little bit of room, which is smart. You don't want to be right on somebody in a braking zone, but I mean, that's still going to be like a parachute right in front of Blas Diaz. Very, very unfortunate for Resende.
Yeah, Diaz will certainly want to dispatch Resende as quickly as possible. The problem is Resende is a class up. So just going off of I rating, you know, Resende should be outrunning Diaz, but Diaz, of course, now has less damage. Resende has the damage that's going to hold him back, at least eventually. In the draft, it won't be so bad on the straightaways. It's just going to be a boat to try and get that car around in the corners. Daniel Morad, right behind these guys. He's in 9th, as there's some battling ahead. Juan Buena, Noel Moron, here they go down the Kemmel Straight. Side by side.
Moron Yeah, side by side coming into this right-hander. Maron's going to fall another position, and that's one thing that Gudai is going to love to see, regardless of how this finishes out for Gudai. If he's able to hold on to that overall lead, Saavedra did set fast lap last time, so he has closed in a little bit. He's almost within a second now, and as I say that, he gets within a second, but that's just because the corner braking and everything else going on with it, but it's stabilized right around that second. Paulo goes wide a little bit there, but Maron's still kind of hanging on with these guys. There's 4 cars in between, I'm sure, but if cars start to pick off Paulo Gudai, we could see a big drop like we've seen from Maron there. So there's still a lot that could happen here. Gudai still holding pretty steady. He's only lost about a quarter of a tenth to Saavedra here. Saavedra still decently closing in. You see there a tenth gained on that braking zone. So Saavedra here, obviously the faster car, but Gudai is not really giving it up too easy.
And Paulo's now got 4 pros chasing him. That's pressure. That is pressure for Paulo to be leading this field. I'm not sure what the strength of field is. Somebody's got to know. It's got to be pretty healthy. That's pressure for Paulo right now, but he's wearing it well. I haven't seen him put a wheel wrong this entire race. He's doing a very good job so far. Obviously still a long ways to go, 26 minutes and change, but doing a fantastic job here at the start of this one as Blas Diaz. Whoa, big move from Blas Diaz here in the braking zone for the bus stop. Daniel Morad reacts. Blas trying to find a way around Jackson Rosende. He's found it. That's going to be a move now from Diaz on the outside of what will be La Source. He's going to try to be clear by the corner, but it's not going to happen. They will stay side by side. Rosende on the inside, and look in the mirror as well. Pecorini bringing the fight to Morad. Whoa, contact for them.
Morad tried to clear himself in front of Pecorini. Pecorini was still there. The Rosende and Blas Diaz fight is going to calm down. Blas Diaz was not able to hold that outside coming through El Rouge right now. This is still, has Morad still in this fight, but that's brought Pecorini to it. Now Morad under fire from Pecorini. Diaz gonna go to the outside yet again on Rosende. Rosende looks like he might have given it up here. That's gonna put Morad in harm's way. If Rosende did, it doesn't look like he did. Broke a little bit too early. Pecorini now outside, now inside of Morad, almost catches left rear. Man, these guys are going right back at it. That's going to bring up this whole crew. We got a fender come flying off right there.
Antonicelli went wide. Diaz has cleared. Was it Pecorini? Yeah, his bumper did get sheared off, but off in the dirt was his teammate Antonicelli. They have sorted things out for now. Rosende no front bumper, Pecorini no front bumper. Damage to a Mustang behind. That seems to be Victor Miranda, but Zach, he is up 33 spots since the beginning of the sprint race. 11 since the beginning of this feature. 33 positions. That's impressive.
He's got a little bit of damage to that left front, but I mean, when you come up 33 positions, you kind of expect
you're going to have battle scars.
A little bit. You're going to have battle scars, but 33 positions in a class, in a field that is this stacked. I mean, we've been talking about the divide of Pro and Pro-Am, but we're talking about Paulo Gudai and Saavedra. We jump right up to him. Saavedra up to Paulo Gudai. We've been talking about the distance between these guys, about how Gudai was a pro last year, a champion in pro. Saavedra will be able to take that position over Gudai. But to gain 33 positions in the said field with these guys in it is incredible. Miranda up to top 10 inside of the pro
Daniel Morad out of the race.
Absolutely insane.
Daniel Morad out of the race.
Oh no.
His car is smashed. It is done. See you later. Contact between he and Jackson Rosende just moments ago. I saw Rosende dropping down rapidly through the timing screen. Here's what happened through Blanchimont. This is always a sketchy place to race in GT3. Morad had the nose just inside. I don't know if he truly had position. Regardless, Morad then sends it here into the bus stop.
Oh.
And, you know, my opinions on that, they vary. I don't know if that's the best way to handle it, but yeah, that's a moment for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we saw him get the run right here. I mean, the nose is, or not nose is there, but the hole is there for a little bit. Morad just peaks, gets into the driver. I mean, everything stays relatively straight. I believe Rosende was able to hold on to it. Either Morad didn't like... Man, I'm not going to speculate on that one. Obviously, there's this displeasure there. I'm just not for sure if it's on him or Resende, whatever it might have been, but obvious displeasure there from Murad.
Well, so I'm going to give a caveat here because we're going to review this a couple more times. This is Resende's view. He gathers it up through the gravel. Honestly, a fantastic job of doing so.
Fantastic.
That easily should have been a crash for Resende. He was able to hang on to it and get down to the safety of pit lane pretty quickly. But, you know, from this view, right, Morad's got to run. By real racing standards, I'm going to say, honestly, that's probably not a smart move. But in iRacing, I'm going to give Morad some credit here. The iRacing spotter should have called Morad to the inside and Resende with a car on the inside. So the iRacing spotter is very sensitive, and it absolutely should have notified Jackson there was a car to the inside. So I think, frankly, I don't think Daniel would have tried that in his real car, but it is iRacing. Let's be honest. There's a caveat there, at least, Zach. I think the iRacing spotter should have called them side by side. There was enough overlap, I think, for it. I just hate that for both drivers.
Yeah, I hate that for both of them, too. And like you said, the iRacing spotter should have absolutely called that. And like I said, man, I don't know. Like, I hate that for both drivers. It's really, really just a horrible end for Murad and just a bad race gone worse for Resende. Obviously, Resende looked like he came to pits, might be going again. But as we look back up front, we're almost halfway through this race. We're a minute away from being halfway through this race. Saavedra has taken off from Paulo Gadai, but not by a lot. Paulo Gadai does have company behind him with Benitez, Felipa, Blanat, everybody right behind him, but those are all pro drivers behind him, and him being his pro-am self, still being able to hold strong in front of him and has not let Saavedra get away at all. Either if Saavedra's maybe not pushing 100% or Paulo Gadai's just putting down solid times, either way, he has not been able to gap himself from Paulo Gadai. Saavedra up front with cars on the same class behind him, but there is a car separating them too. So there's a lot that could happen here. Paulo Gadai still holding strong, second overall, first in Pro-Am, but man, I still got to give credit to Paulo Gadai here. That's still an awesome drive to get overtaken like that and to still hold strong in front of some of these pro guys.
We'll have to wait and see exactly how high up the order Gadai can finish today. Benitez, Felipa, and Blanat all lined up behind him to try and take over that spot. We'll see how it goes, but deeper on in the field, Victor Miranda now into the top 10. Oh my goodness, he just keeps moving forward. Now granted, he did have Morad and Resende exit stage left and right, so that has helped him ever so slightly, but still, this move for Miranda through the field has been nothing short of impressive. He's now racing here with Fabio Zamperlini. Zamperlini a Pro-Am, Miranda a Pro. I feel like at one point in time they were in the same class here in NARL. Now they're split in different classes, and Zamperlini will get, well, passed maybe by Rubilar as Miranda heads off to the pit lane. Pit stops getting going.
Pit stops are getting going. Now, remind me, Andrew, I believe we had it last year, but I could be wrong. I know there was a quick repair for at least the heat. I'm not for sure if that carried over into this. Well,
yes.
That answered my question. You saw the fender jump out there for Miranda. This was a huge move, I believe, by Miranda. Get into pit road early, get your damage repaired. That way you have a clean car to go out and set laps that you were just setting without a clean car. Man, it's going to be exciting to see Victor Miranda coming down pit road. You see Franco coming down pit road as well. He's going to have to share a box with the 117. I believe that's Berger, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, he's going to have to share a box just because the sheer amount of drivers out on this track. We jump back up here to front. We see Benitez still in this pack, but gets passed up by Dino Felipa. Dino now on the back end of Paulo Gadai, but Paulo Gadai still holding strong in that second position overall, first in Pro-Am. He's not letting it go that easily. We see Saavedra now. He has gapped a little bit on Paulo Gadai, but it's still within a second and a half as Felipa is, if we look over there to the left on the ticker, Felipa is a second and a half behind Saavedra, and Paulo Gadai's right in the middle of them. So he's got to be less than half by process of elimination. So these guys still right on top of each other, but Paulo Gadai holding strong. I know I keep mentioning it, but you can't overlook just what Paulo Gadai is doing right now. Pro-Am, we see Maron also back there, just a little bit back. We got to give him his cred, but I got to give the cred to Paulo Gadai for being able to hold strong with these pros right on his bumper like that. Very easy to get intimidated when they're right on you like that. Paulo Gadai not misstepping, holding strong second overall.
It does help that Saavedra and Felipe are teammates. They're at least going to be a little easier on him, but still, they got to get going for their own race. And there you see Felipe take driver's right there into the bus stop, and Godai moves over, lets him have it. Benitez now putting pressure squarely on Paulo. Word of the street, by the way, for Daniel Morad is that in saving the car from the incident that happened at Blanchimont, the wheel disconnected, and it did seem like it was more than just him shoving the car off into the fence there in the bus stop, because he blinked out there momentarily, so that supports that theory, and sounds like he will give it another shot another time here in the North American Racing League. A lot of pit stops going on now, though, as you see them all down the pit lane. It is a very busy place with Noel Moron. We've got Blas Diaz, we've got Nicolas Rubilar, we've got Jose Correa. So many cars in the pits. This is apparently the lap to pit.
Yeah, everybody coming down pit road right here, but I do wanna commend some of the guys that came down early. They're gonna be coming out flying on well, there's still gonna be warm tires. Not a lot of guys are gonna be changing tires, but these guys that pitted early, they're gonna be on a flying lap where these guys gotta get up to speed coming through El Rouge, getting out of turn 1. So I mean, you see right there, it takes 33 seconds total lane time, 13 seconds in box lane time. That's in box and out. So these guys are trying to fly through their pit lane as quickly as possible, and I don't know, with everybody pitting all at once, if you come in with traffic, there's a good possibility you get slowed down coming out with traffic. So these guys right on top of each other. You see Resende now, clean car. He's got a bumper. He's going to have a chance to gain more positions. It's just a matter of how much more can he gain. We've seen Victor Miranda gain 33. We see a car off. We see rocks flying everywhere. Multiple cars off. Resende low then high. He's going to be taking the outside here. I'm not for sure who that is to his inside, but he's going to be looking to the outside, going to hold that position as of right now. So a lot of havoc right here coming out of pit road.
That was Victor Veloso in that teal number 10 that went off just ahead of Resende. Now you have Victor Miranda and Miguel Colon battling in a couple of Mustangs here. This is for currently 17th and 18th on the racetrack, but that will update once the pit cycle is complete. Juan Blanat putting pressure now on Ralph Benitez, as I'd imagine most of these drivers will pit all right here on this lap, and yeah, they're all pitting. Every single one of these leaders coming in now.
And it's very, very sketchy when everybody comes in at the same time, especially at a track like that. That's exactly why. Bottlenecking right at the start of pit road. You want to gain as much time as possible getting in, but obviously you don't want to get caught speeding. And the bottlenecking is one of the easiest ways to either get caught speeding or run into the back of your competitor. Paulo Gadai comes all the way through his boxes. He started P1 on the field. He will take that P1 box. Comes all the way through. Now it's just going to be a matter of who can get out the quickest as we take a look at Paulo Gadai's stop.
See how much time it ends up taking. There goes one car, that was Saavedra. There goes another, that was Felipe. He's going to get out right here with Juan Blanat. Blanat checks up for him. It's really tight, and that's contact. That damaged Blanat's nose.
Blanat tried to look to his outside coming out of pit road. Obviously nothing there because it's a very, very narrow pit road. Blanat now has a little bit of damage on his right front. Did that give damage to Paulo Gadai on his left rear? It doesn't really look like it from that camera shot. These guys now getting back up to speed. That's a hard pill to swallow, especially coming out of pit road like that. Blanat not really too concerned though. Big run on Paulo Gadai. Gonna look to the right. Paulo looks like he might give it up here. He will put Blanat up a position.
So SDR has now taken over the top 3 positions once again, just like in the heat race, but different order this time. Now it's Saavedra over Felipe and Blanat. That's your top 3, your podium, as things stand with 13.5 minutes to go. Paulo Gadai runs in 4th. He is another SDR driver, but down a class. So while SDR controls the podium in Pro, it is going to be Gadai in 4th and 1st at the same time, as he's 4th overall, 1st in Pro-Am. Diego Eda seems to have more issues. Oh dear, he's turned around in what seems to be Lacombe, and he's going to tow back to the pit lane. Let's see what happened there for him. It's been a rough go of things for him lately. Here's a look at it. Scott Kimbrough racing with him.
A little bit of blocking. Defensive line tries to come all the way up. Oh, man.
I mean, I have my opinion.
I have my opinion too, and if I could voice it, I don't put that on Kimbrough. I mean, obviously tight racing right here, but you see Kimbrough come all the way to the left and just the slow squeeze constantly, and then that contact with each other right there. It's very easy for you to lose cars or get stuck on a car in iRacing like that. It's just... Oh, man, very smart right here, though, for him to jam on brakes. It wasn't smart to let that car roll that far, but still to stay out of the track is just rather unfortunate. Really hard racing right there.
Kimbrough tried to cut his losses there, going back to driver's left, and then Diego just came over a little too far. They got together, and that's racing. But that definitely, if you're going to blame it on one driver or another, that would go certainly on Diego there. And boy, I'm glad he got the binders on just in time to not wipe out more there on the back end of that incident. That could have gone very, very poorly even after the main portion of the incident had concluded. Meanwhile, battle for 11th on the racetrack. 11th, 12th, and 13th. This includes Victor Miranda, by the way, but this is Victor Veloso with a run. He gives a shot there maybe to Jackson Resende. Miranda's just behind these two as they tandem draft down the Kemmel Straight.
Trying to help each other with, hey, Velocity Veloso trying to take as much as he can up through the straight. Anyways, I digress. I'll take my leave now. Either way, Benitez right in front of Veloso, and these guys have been right, or excuse me, that's not Benitez, that's Resende. I apologize. Resende right in front of Veloso. These guys been right on top of each other ever since Resende got his damage repaired. Veloso has not let him go. Resende has been able to take that position, but look no further, right behind them, gaining on them ever so slightly. Who's that guy right behind them, Andrew?
Miguel Colon or Victor Miranda? Both of them.
Victor Miranda, bud. I mean, we've been talking about how he's been able to move up through the field this entire time. He's up to 13th overall. That's still a lot of positions gained. I believe that's what now? Almost
a total of 31.
Well, he obviously lost a few because of that, but he's on the tail of getting back to 33 like we were talking about earlier. It's just the drive to get through this field has been incredible.
And it is that time. That is a good segue. We've got to do driver of the day, North American Racing League driver of the day. This is a good time to go ahead and bang this out. I know he's going to be a nomination. Zach, do you want to take him?
Yeah, you know what? I'll take Victor Miranda on this one. I mean, obviously, what else can we say? 33 positions gained in a very, very stacked field, or 31 as of right now, but knocking on the door of 33 positions. I've got to give my nod to Victor Miranda for just it's so impressive to pass 20 cars on a road race. It's impressive to pass 10 cars. To pass 31 cars at the moment, it's just an incredible drive. To be knocking on the door of more, I've got to give it to Victor Miranda.
So, absolutely, Victor Miranda, I think, 100% deserves a nomination there. I will go ahead and make a pro nomination as well. I know Rubelar is up a handful of spots. I want to bring his stats back up. I know, he started 31st. So honestly, this is also impressive for him. But that was self-inflicted, him being back there, because he got the penalty technically in the sprint race. So I want to recognize Nicholas for getting back through the field. But this is a little more self-inflicted as there's a stopped car there. That seems to be... That was Diego Herrera there again. I'll save him the embarrassment, and we'll move on. I do want to go ahead and give Marco Saavedra, I think, the honor here of being nominated for Driver of the Day. I mean, he's done a fantastic job of getting through the chaos here in the feature the quickest, to take advantage of the fact that it was his teammate Paulo Goday ahead, and Paulo didn't put up too much of a fight for the overall race lead, recognizing that Marcos is a pro and is ultimately faster. It's been a fantastic job out of Marcos through both the heat and now the feature. I think of the two, or of the three, I guess, at the front of the field, I'm going to go ahead and grab Marcos here for Driver of the Day.
I feel like that's a really solid pick. We've seen him on the back end of Dino Filippo for the heat, so to have him up front right now and driving your way, I feel like that's also a really good pick. To transition down to Pro-Am, I mean, I've got to take, if I got to take the obvious, I will take the obvious, because Paulo Gadai, again, to hold position over pros, obviously the defending pro champion from last season had to be demoted down to, I can't even say demoted, but put down into Pro-Am just because of how the I-rating average shook out, but still being able to contend with these guys. I mean, look right in front of him. He has not let these guys go at all. I've got to give my nod to Paulo Gadai for not only putting himself in that position from the heat race over to the feature, for also holding that position very, very strong and very, very well over the course of the feature. I got to give my Pro-Am nod to Paulo Gadai.
I do kind of wish I could give Paulo Gadai a second nomination, but I won't. I will refrain. I will say Blas Diaz is a name I don't know yet. I want to consider him. I'm considering live. My mind is not made yet. I'm considering two different drivers live. So Blas Diaz, he's been in some great battles. He's definitely punching above his weight class, just like Paulo. He's doing a fantastic job of racing with the pros. But there's a driver a little ways ahead of him that we've talked a bit about, Zach Noel Marone. He did win in Pro-Am there in the sprint race, and he's doing a fantastic job of holding on to second here. I know obviously the grid kind of helped Paulo and Noel out to put them ahead of their counterparts in Pro-Am, but he's executing at every level. Yes, he got passed up by Gadai there at the start. Yes, the pros got by somewhat quickly, but he's not looking back. He's buckling down. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Noel. Again, this is a driver I don't know much about. He's impressing me tonight, and I think that is kind of what Driver of the Day is about.
No, absolutely. I mean, we were talking about it pre-race, and we kind of got to talking about Marone, ironically enough, just because we hadn't really mentioned his name too much. I believe we might have mentioned him once or twice last week, but for him to get up here, battle with Gadai in the end of the heat race, battle with him at the start of this race, and then obviously hold his own after the fact, I feel like that's also a very, very good pick for the Pro-Am Driver of the Day.
So let's recap your options for today's Driver of the Day vote with about 5 minutes to go here in this race. Paulo Gadai is one of them. There he is from SDR Sim Racing. You can also vote for the number 25. That is Marcos Saavedra. He is leading the race currently in Pro and overall. He is down the hill towards Eau Rouge and Radion. And I think he's got about 2 more laps after this to run before he will collect a checkered flag here today, as long as he keeps himself in that position. Next up on the ballot, Noel Marone back in the number 28 car. He runs currently in 6th overall, 2nd in Pro-Am, so he is ahead of a lot of pro competitors in that SART number 28 Ford Mustang. And the other option here today is going to be Victor Miranda back in car 53. This guy started 44th out of 44 drivers in the sprint race. He's now 12th. He is up 32 spots in about an hour of racing. He wasn't gifted any spots or anything by the invert. It was only an invert of 8 there between the sprint and feature race. So Victor Miranda has made 32 passes on the racetrack. I'm sure a couple of them were drivers dropping out, but has passed 32 cars to get up to 12th overall, and that is huge. Also, nearly top half in Pro as well.
That's just impressive. Nearly top half in Pro of that coming through the field. So that's just impressive. But get your votes in. We hope to hear from the chat to see who they think the driver of the day is. We had a good pick last week. We had it come down to the end pretty much last week, so we hope to hear what you guys think out in chat. So we come back up here, Eduardo Pecorini and Blas Diaz right next to each other, and I believe that's Rublar right in front of them, if I'm not mistaken. Pecorini, not a name that we mentioned a lot. We saw his fight a little bit with, I believe it was, it wasn't Reister. I forget the driver he was battling against, but Pecorini, we mentioned his name a lot last season, especially coming towards the end of last season. Didn't mention it a lot last week, but he has slowly but surely put his name into the mix. He's top 3. He's bronze right now for Pro-Am, battling with Blas Diaz right behind him. So Eduardo Pecorini, I feel like this is a name, as the season progresses, this is a name we got to keep our eye on. He is somebody that loves to heat up coming towards the end of the season, Eduardo Pecorini.
Well, he started the season with a win in Pro-Am. He won in Pro-Am
That's right.
Why
Why am I forgetting this? Goodness gracious.
So yeah, Pecorini, top of the standings chart coming into the evening for Pro-Am. He'll be one to watch for sure with this result today at Spa, as long as he can hang on for these last couple of laps. A little further back, Miranda and Veloso, they still race here for 12th and 13th. Just behind them, Hector Alvarez, Fabio Zamperlini, they are racing now for the 16th and 17th spots, just ahead of Sampsoid and Scott Reister. To complete your top 20, it'll be Roman Pascucci here in the 20th spot after his incident there early in the race. Paulo Godard, by the way, off screen has just been passed by Ralph Benitez. So Paulo's still top 5 overall, but now in 5th and still leading in Pro-Am. A little deeper, 21st, 22nd, over the crest there at Radion. Josue Ramirez in 21st, Lucas Souza 22nd, Scott Kimbrough and Romain Rateau just behind the Frenchman. Hanging out, I believe he's the top Porsche there in the 24th spot overall, ahead of Avery Hart. And by the way, Avery, I wanted to come back to him. He didn't gain as many spots as I was hoping here in the feature, but I want to give him a moment at least of reflection and certainly some praise. Avery started 43rd in the heat race earlier on, is up to the 25th spot overall, and that's still a bunch of spots to gain after starting at the very back of the field on the final row at the start of the night.
Well, listen, we keep talking about the impressive gain for Victor Miranda just because 30 positions is a lot, but as mentioned, 30 positions is a lot, 20 positions is a lot, 10 positions is a lot, especially on a track like this where things get separated so quickly and so easily just because of how difficult it is to pass. One little mistake from anybody can really affect a lot of people. So to still gain over 10 positions, almost 15 positions for Avery Hart is very, very impressive. And that just goes to show just the talent level. You can't really relax or sleep on anybody in this race. We get our Whiplash Sim Cam's white flag. One more lap to go for Saavedra up in front as we look at the field coming through for their white flag. Saavedra now already out of one, getting ready to come up through Eau Rouge.
Final time up the hill at Eau Rouge and Radion. Let's ride on board. We haven't done this enough tonight. Ah, yes. Love the sound of the rumble strips, the curbing there at each apex, and Saavedra is just on a Thursday drive here. 4 seconds ahead of Dina Filippa. I mean, this is a very impressive run out of Saavedra. I think this definitely deserves a lot of attention within the North American Racing League space. I mean, this is a really solid drive out to what is going to be a race win here in, in Pro and, of course, overall. Paulo Godai, by the way, is still working on Ralph Benitez. This is not over between them. Godai still could get that spot back away. Resende and Antonicelli, they race. This could be a moment. Antonicelli passes Resende. Resende fires back.
That was a move from Resende, and this is going to bring Victor Miranda right now. Oh, big shunt right there. Victor Miranda is going to try to take advantage of this position gain as well. Still side by side. Big shunt.
Oh, no!
Don't.
Drive it, brother.
Save, Victor
Wow.
Miranda. What a save. He's going to lose a position now. I believe that was, who was that just passed him up, Andrew? I'm sorry.
Miguel Colon.
Miguel Colon right just by him. Victor Miranda keeps that car straight. Man, what a save. Oh my goodness. Antonicelli with the big mix-up right there. But we come back up to the front. Saavedra all alone, it looks like, on the track. There's his teammate Filippa, pops out just behind him. But Saavedra all alone on this track pretty much. Gonna come through the final 2 corners, getting up to the chicane. Saavedra's gonna pop off his first win of the season, I believe.
Off of turn number 19, the bus stop here at Spa. It will be a maiden victory here in season number 9 for Marcus Saavedra. That is a checkered flag for driver 25 in the North American Racing League at Spa. Paulo Godai will exit the bus stop and take his own win in Pro-Am category. Still a lot of great racing to be had behind that. In this battle particularly, Miranda back over Cologne. That's for 13th. And Miranda will gain 31 positions today. Oh, a slowdown there from Antonicelli. Was that a slowdown? Was that frustration? Who knows? They get to the line, though, as there's one final battle or two back here. Josue Ramirez, Lucas Souza, Scott Kimbrough. How about Andy Ray Miller and Icaro Piccolo? Might be a pass here in the bus stop. Maybe, maybe not.
Looks like it's just a little bit too far back right there coming to it. But, I mean, still end up with a clean car after a full, hour racing of Spa, both heat and feature combined, to end up with the clean car. I feel like that's still a very, very big thing, like a very, very big win, essentially, as we see Mike Braun here coming across the line to finish his race. It's a very, very big win to not only finish a Spa race, but to finish it with a clean car.
Braun was the final car to cross the stripe. Pedro Berger technically is out there and hasn't finished, but he's in the pit lane, so he will not be crossing the line this evening to complete tonight's feature race. Let's go back and take a look at the unofficial race results after it's all said and done here for 40 minutes of feature racing. Of course, this is just the results of the feature. This is not the average of the feature with the heat prior, so bear that in mind, but we will be talking to the top two of each class from this feature race. So Marco Saavedra with the win, Dino Filippa there in position number 2, Juan Blena in third, Ralph Benitez fourth. It is Paulo Goday with a top 5 overall. Honestly, Zach, to on average only lose about a half second to the pro drivers, and of course he was ahead of them for some time, but to only lose about a half second per lap on average over 18 laps, I mean, that is pretty impressive for Paulo Goday. So I think he might be a favorite for this Pro-Am championship this season. Nicholas Rubelar there in 6th. He had a great comeback today as well. Noah Moron, Eduardo Pecorini, Blas Diaz, and Jackson Rosende, all fantastic jobs through and through for each of their races. A really stout top 10 today.
And I just kind of want to hold on to that top 10 as well. I mean, if we look back at it, we saw four blue numbers and we saw 6 red numbers, obviously indicating the differences in class. That's almost a 50% split. That's a 60-40% split. Top 10 with differing classes. I feel like that just goes to show how difficult and how close these guys actually are. Just because they're labeled in classes doesn't mean that there is a large gap. These guys right on top of each other. But continuing on, I just kind of wanted to make that point so everybody gets an idea of why we keep rambling on about how impressive it is with these guys being right on top of each other. But to continue on from the 11th position all the way through 20th, Victor Veloso, Velocity Veloso, so to say, is going to finish just outside the top 10 behind Jackson Rosende after that huge fight he had with both Victor Miranda and Rosende himself. Antonicelli will be right behind him, finishing at 12th. Victor Miranda will be finishing 13th. Overall, I believe that's going to be inside the top 10 for pro. So Victor Miranda 13th overall. Miguel Colon just behind him. You saw the pass being made on him from Victor Miranda, will be finishing 14th. Daniel Pastor, Hector Alvarez 15th and 16th. Fabio Zamperlini and Samsoy, we didn't mention his name a lot, will crack the top 20 and finish 18th. Scott Reister 19th, and rounding out our top 20, Romain Pascucci will be finishing 20th.
How about the top 20 for Scott Reister and Samsoid and Fabio Zamperlini? A great day for each of those three OGs here of the series. Back on to 21st, how about Jose Ramirez in the number 75 car there? Some great racing with he, Souza, and Kimbrough down to the line. Avery Hart, a bunch of spots gained. I wish it was a few more. We would have probably nominated him for driver of the day. Still, Avery Hart, a really stellar performance today here at Spa. Jose Correa there in 25th. Romain Morato in 26th. On down through Andy Ray Miller, Icaro Piccolo, Chris Winstone, and Zach Plummer, your top 30. I'm just going to wrap these up really quickly. Mike Braun, Diego Era, Edgar Ruiz, Joaquin Melo, and Marcos Franco, your top 35. From Era on back, unfortunate early exits. Berger, Morad, Ledesma, Delgado, DePaula there, your top 40, and then 4 more, Brockway, Schwartz, Flack, and Hill, all out early here in the feature race. We do have Marco Saavedra already on tap. If you finish top 2, please do connect to the Pit Stop TV Discord as promptly as you are able. Let's bring in, though, our overall race winner on the evening, Marco Saavedra. This is a really, really cool win for you, Marcos. I know it wasn't necessarily the performance you wanted out of the sprint race, but boy, this feature race showed you really, really have a handle on these GT3 cars. I got to ask though, for you guys at a higher pro level, typically I'd imagine you run open setups. What's the adjustment been like for you to run these fixed setups instead?
Good night, Andrew. Good night, so the people watching. Yeah, like I'm very, very happy with the result. I think it's a very strong day for us as a team too, for SDR Sim Racing. So yeah, we mostly run open setup, but we also run a lot of fixed. There's like a lot of series here in iRacing where you run fixed setup. So we already know like a bit of the setups, of the fixed setups for GT3, and mostly they are pretty like safe, let's say, to race. They are a little bit more on the understeer side, so it's not really a big change, and it's like a great bonus to just focus on the track, on being the fastest that you can with a setup that you already have. So there's no setup tweaking, so it's like less practice for us mostly.
Definitely a lot of focus on the driver, and we saw you and your teammate Dino going head to head a couple of times tonight, driver on driver. How fun is that to be able, for you guys to come out here in this kind of series, not only be on top, not only be leading, but to be able to have fun and go back and forth like that?
Yeah, obviously I was pushing him a bit like on the first couple of laps because the guys just like were like the third and fourth were really close, so I just wanted to push him, on the first laps to help him, so we can have a nice fight on the last of the race, because I knew we had a little bit more pace than the guys that were on the rear. So yeah, it's just fun, on the last couple of laps trying to send it, but with a lot of respect between us. We know each other from a long time ago, and we just have like good and respectful battles.
Well, Marcos, it's good to talk to you. Congratulations on a big win here this evening. I'm looking forward to talking to you a whole lot more this season.
Thank you very much, guys. I hope to see you too. So let's see what the races in front of us have for me.
Marcos Saavedra, a big win here today at Spa. We'll move on down to his teammate here, Dino Filippa, in the number 71 car. Dino won last week, or I guess last round, a few weeks ago at Red Bull Ring. And Dino, I got to get down to it. Of course, we all have our opinions. That's all fine and dandy. I just want to hear your side of what happened there. Lap one of the sprint race. There was a collision there in Bruxelles between you and I believe it was Pastor, maybe? It was one of the Drago cars. What happened there?
Hello, Andrew, and all the stream. Yes, the first race was a little crazy on the first lap. I tried to overtake Daniel, and yes, we get a contact. Then the other guys from behind start to make 2 wide, 3 wide, and the race was a little dirty for this situation, but I think for me it was not intentionally, and I tried to make a move on the first lap, and yes, I made a contact with Daniel.
Well, you're able to put that behind you and go on to, I believe, win the heat race and go second here in the feature. Obviously, I'd say you guys as a team have this figured out. You have the field covered right now. So what is the conversation like between you and your teammates mid-race, try and get you all the best result possible? What's that like in the team chat?
Yes, the order in the team was try to optimize the team results, but all are racing his race. If we have to battle together, it's allowed. But in the first laps, we try to overtake the other guys, trying to not fight with the teammates. But in this race, we can't fight because we have damage from the first lap, and we have to save some fuel and try to recovery some time in the box, but for me it was impossible to fight with Marcos.
Well, we'll see if you guys continue trading these wins, you and Marcos. But Dino, congratulations. I know there was a contact early. You put it behind you, though. You went on to a really solid result. Congratulations.
Thank you, Andrew, and all the NARL League. Bye.
Dino Filippo with a big day here at Spa, and it looks like we may not have. Well, I know we won't have Paulo. Paulo sent us a message directly, as he's done in the past a few times. As a lot of these drivers, let's be honest, Zach, that they are international. They hail from Spanish-speaking and Portuguese-speaking countries, so their English isn't quite as strong, and we certainly want to work with that everywhere that we can. We used to have JP Costa, with us on the broadcast, who could speak fluently in Portuguese and a little bit in Spanish. Unfortunately, he is no longer with the broadcast channel. Would love to have him back sometime, but he, of course, he's a pilot in Brazil now. He's doing some really cool stuff. Regardless, I digress. Paulo Godoy, his take on the evening is as follows. Good evening. And this is just reading his message. Good evening, everyone. I'm happy with today's results, especially after the rough first round I had. Pole, P2, and P1 in the category, and racing in the middle of the pro grid with incredible drivers. He wants to thank his teammate for the great partnership and for the points they scored. Boy, what a big day for he and Blas Diaz both. A big hug to everyone from SDR, to their sponsors, and Paulo will see us in the next one in Indianapolis very, very soon. Good to at least get the statement there from Paulo Godoy here at the back end of this one. And you know what, Zach? We can go ahead and end the Driver of the Day vote. And guess what? It is going to be Paulo Godoy winning the Driver of the Day honors. I think that is really, really cool to see for Paulo. I got to say, Miranda also deserved it. He was second in the vote, Zach, but Paulo definitely deserved it here today.
I completely agree. I think Miranda definitely deserved, at the very least, a nod. Obviously coming up just short in the voting, so people obviously thought that he was part of that conversation. But, I mean, just like you said, just the very, very deserving Driver of the Day right here for Paulo Godoy, to not only take the win, Pro-Am, but to run laps even, or maybe even sometimes better than some of the pros that were out around him and in front of him, behind him, whatever it may have been. Just to run laps even with it, very, very impressive. So I feel like a very, very deserving Driver of the Day in Paulo Godoy right there.
Well, that will do it for us here this evening from Spa. Of course, a big thank you to our partners, Maradness, JS Consulting, Screw Compressor Service, and Rocket Designs. And a big thank you as well to our partners here at the channel, Whiplash SimCams, ATVO, MX Wraps, Murtis Esports, CC's Business, and the North American Racing League. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in this evening. Here's what's upcoming for us in just a few minutes. Literally about 5 minutes, we'll be starting the broadcast for the Sim Auto Racing Association. This session has now opened, so Zach, I can now say where these drivers are going. Are you ready?
You know what? I am excited to hear where these guys are going tonight.
We are taking super late models to Oswego Speedway here in a few moments.
Really now?
I'm going to assume it's one you don't own yet.
Yeah, I do not. I was going to try to play it on, but I do not own that one.
Oswego Speedway in Oswego, New York. It's a really cool racetrack. It is funky. I'm excited to broadcast it here in a few moments. Then Sunday morning, we have the All-American Racing League kicking off their 2026 season. NASCAR Cup Cars at Daytona. What more could you ask for? Followed up by Tuesday evening's running of the BRB Sundance Pro Series at Michigan International Speedway for the beginning of their chase. You can catch these broadcasts and more all across the platforms listed down below for tonight. That will do it for us this evening at Spa. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you all in just a few moments for the Sarah Super Series at Oswego.